for tuning into Media Soundwave. My name is Heather Cassidy, and today I am joined by Julie Silver, the nutritional therapist, also known as the Vitality Fairy, and Joanne Lee from the Full Spectrum Centre to discuss fertility. Now, 1 in 6 couples have problems with fertility. That is both men and women who are struggling, which in the UK is roughly about 3.5 million people. Now, as women, we all know too well the problems that we have each month. We get bloated, we get mood swings, we get warm. There's so many, the pain of it. But these are all actually good signs that we are ovulating. So if you're trying for a baby, try and remember that these are actually good things that are going on. A lot of people try and wait when they're trying for a baby for their temperature to rise, but sometimes this is too late because we are fertile for about 6 days a month, 5 days leading up to ovulation and the day of ovulation itself. So sometimes when we've waited for the temperature rise, we've missed them 2 days before because we're already at that point, which is also good to know. So if you don't already, check out a website called Orcha, orcha.co.uk. I'll put my teeth back in. And on there you'll be able to find a really good app to help track your periods. I use one called Period Diary, which is really easy to use, and it shows you what days you're ovulating, when you're due on. So I recommend that as one I use, but I'm not tracking it for fertility, so there may be ones on that website that you can find that are better for that. So guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
When people come to your clinic, Jo, and ask you for help with fertility, which kind of things do you point them in the direction of?
Well, I mainly specialise in fertility reflexology.
Okay.
I also do hypnotherapy, but it's more of a guided visualisation, and that's just to prepare them for what hopefully is to happen and get them in the right frame of mind. Mindset is a really important part of trying for a baby.
So what's the process then if somebody comes to you and says, look, we're trying for a baby and we need to put ourselves in the right position? What is the process that people would go through with you?
Well, I do a full consultation with them.
Okay.
And it's important to know where they are in their journey. So have they had the tests? How long have they been trying naturally? And then we can look at, because fertility reflexology is great for unexplained infertility. If you've got a mechanical reason why you can't have a baby, so a tube's been removed or there's a blockage, then there isn't much reflexology you can do for that. So it's more finding out, have they got a definitive diagnosis.
People normally come to you then? Where in the journey are people usually? Have they had medical
varied.
treatment first, or do they want to try natural ways first?
A bit of a mix really. I don't know if you realise, but in the press the last few years, fertility reflexology is quite prominent. Mumsnet does a lot of articles, Daily Mail.
Oh, right, okay.
So I get a lot of people who have either been told by a friend or they've read an article in the paper and they want to investigate that route. And then I've got others that I get recommendations from consultants and doctors, and they mention it
It must
to
be really
the
rewarding when
clients.
people have come to you with a complaint and then you've seen actually them go on to have a baby.
Well, especially for me, because I have polycystic ovary syndrome, so for me I could never have children. So that's why I specialised in fertility really. And I have a great relationship with my consultant. I've been seeing for 20 odd years, so I see him every 3 months, so I've got a direct contact that I can get advice. I don't talk about specific clients, but you know, if I've got a question about something medical, then he answers. And if I've got a question about the medical side of it in terms of the fertility treatment, I've sort of got him on standby and say, what do I do about this? So
with the reflexology, what do you think it is about that in particular that actually helps with the fertility?
Well, fertility reflexology isn't much different to normal reflexology in terms of it's the same techniques, are the same, but we would work on different reflexes at different times depending on where they are in the cycle and what treatment they're having. So it's specific, yeah. And we can really home in, because with reflexology everything is mapped out on your feet and your hands, so we can really home in on the endocrine system for if they've got hormonal imbalance. I have to say the number one cause of unexplained infertility, and especially in my experience with my clients, is stress. So I'm really working on getting the stress levels down.
So then it'd be a relaxation thing as well. So would then other holistic treatments be recommended?
Yeah, I mean I do Reiki and I can't switch that off, so they get Reiki at the same time as I'm doing the reflex, and that really just helps with the emotional side, because it's really stressful trying for a baby.
Do you have men that come to you as well that are struggling?
Yeah, statistically 30% is sort of on the male side of problems, and 70 is normally in sort of when they've done the research into fertility problems. I tend to, in my clinic, work mainly with females. Probably 10-15% of my work is with the male, because most of my clients, it's kind of the female that's the brunt of the problem.
Yeah. About it. Julie, when people come to you and they say that they're struggling with fertility, what would your recommendations be?
Well, first thing probably diet, but again looking at the lifestyle and the stress in the life. Because, you know, I just feel now there's more stress than ever, isn't there? Going on.
There is, yeah.
And there's more kind of chemicals, more pollution, that type of thing.
Do you think all these things are affecting fertility?
Oh, absolutely, Yeah.
And has your clients been mainly male or women? Well, men or women?
More females, but I like to work with both of them because then you can put them both on the right nutrients because you're both producing a healthy baby together.
That's completely. You have to remember these things because some people don't. People put it on a woman a lot to try and do something about it when it isn't always the woman that's struggling to have the baby.
And that's why there's so much stress. I was asked, I don't know how many times, when I was diagnosed with PCOS, I didn't say it was just between me and my husband and my mum. But I can't tell you, if I had £1 for everyone that said, have you not had a baby yet? Got any children?
I think it's such an important thing to remember not to speak to couples about it because
be very careful how you word the questions.
It might be a lifestyle choice, but if it isn't, then it is a constant reminder, isn't it? Oh, have you not had a baby yet? Oh,
and then you carry the guilt and I had off the mother-in-law, when are you going to give my son a child? Like, oh.
I think as women though, I don't think my child is my absolute universe. She is my absolute world and she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But I think for some people it isn't the right path for them. So to ask people and expect women to have a baby, I don't think it is something that society should be doing.
No, and I just believe everything happens for a reason and at the right time. So sometimes people, even if say if a soul's meant to come in, then it will. Women have been on the pill and they've got pregnant and they've done things that they really don't want, and then other people have tried everything and can't.
I think that's the sad thing, isn't it, when so many people are trying to have a baby and struggling, and then there's other people on the other side of the spectrum that don't want the child, and I think it is such an upsetting balance because it is like, why have we got one thing on one side and one on the other?
And it's a difficult topic because there isn't just one thing that you can say what's causing this. I mean, I've had clients where they've getting sort of to the older age bracket and their husbands are wanting to start a family and they're more career minded and they've gone along with it and said, okay, I'll have a baby, but they really want, and they take longer because their mindset is blocking it. Verbally they're saying, I'll have a baby, and then inside they're going, I don't really want this baby.
It's not fair on the child to bring a child into the world when you haven't got the time for it. You don't want to change your life to make time for the child, and it's the child that's going to suffer at the end of the day, as well as both people involved, because it'll put pressure on a relationship if everybody's not happy.
Incredible amount of pressure.
Completely, especially if you're the one that's going to have to be picking the child up from school and changing your lifestyle, because I think it generally sits on a woman. I know there's so many amazing great dads out there. I know loads and loads of great dads who do so much for the child and take turns or change their life, but a lot of the time women do end up changing their life and their work hours and everything to fit around children, and I think sometimes it can go unnoticed. And I think if then it's a man that's wanting the child more and it isn't him that's actually going to change anything in his life, it's going to be his partner that's making the change, then you can see why it is going to cause stress onto the relationship. So Julie, what you said about you look at people's lifestyles and diet, but what kind of foods do you recommend for people to eat if they are trying to be fertile?
Again, get all the processed food out.
No processed food.
Well, preferably alcohol. Sugar, anything that stresses the body as well. I mean, things like dairy and that's not really good for the reproductive system. And anything that
there's the old wives' tales though, isn't there, that if you eat certain foods when you conceive, you're more likely to have
I don't know if that's true or not.
I've got a little girl and I've never eaten seafood really since I was a toddler, so maybe I was eating more cheese.
I don't know. But things with a lot of zinc in and like the minerals, men are told that they've got low sperm count. Well, it can be increased with
what can they do to increase it?
The things that you can, well, there's something called like bee pollen.
Oh, bee pollen helps?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Bee pollen, royal jelly, propolis, in a raw honey, there's this upper mist that make it, and they have had great results from this blend together, and both men and women can take it.
Have you got some information on that we can share on the website?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. We'll
It's something I mentioned in another show is shilajit, where it's got very high zinc and minerals in.
And that helps with fertility
as
well?
Men and women, And what it's actually doing, what these supplements are doing, these natural supplements, they're actually helping the health of both the male, the man and the woman,
to create a healthy baby.
Not just that, but when you have a baby, you need all the energy.
You do.
You want to be your eggs as well.
You need lots of energy.
So if you want more children and good egg quality, then you're just increasing your chances of having more children, just feeling better as parents.
And your body recovering after you've actually had the baby. Because a lot of my work is they come for fertility reflexology and then they turn into maternity, hopefully, reflexology clients. So it takes the body a long time to recover from that.
Yes, and things like iodine and magnesium, if you have minerals like that, then you've less chance of having a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So that's iodine and magnesium, because obviously if people may have had previous pregnancies but it's not followed through to being able to have the baby, then this is the kind of thing that they need to do, doesn't it, to support their body to go through it.
Yeah, and then get preeclampsia, and also magnesium is a relaxant mineral, so that even giving birth, it's easier.
Oh, that's very, very interesting.
I wish I would have known that when I was
I wish I'd known that when I had my little girl.
Yes.
So a lot of people know about folic acid and how that can help people when trying to conceive. Do you know of any foods that is in naturally? Or would you advise just taking the supplements?
Yeah, because you know what? In foods nowadays, there's not as many minerals as well. So
I suppose the percentage is lower, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not just taking isolated minerals. It's about having like a B complex, but the best quality food states that you can get. Because if you get synthetic, it's not as easily absorbed. So again, we're looking at kind of gut health and just getting everything cleaned up.
So I suppose it is just eating the right things, exercising, because obviously weight plays a huge part, doesn't it? If people are too heavy, they can't conceive, but if you're not eating enough,
well, they actually can't get IVF either. I have lots of clients that have been put on the waiting list and said, come back when you've lost 2 stone over, but both, but the majority is overweight.
And I was like, because you hear quite regularly, don't you, about people that are underweight and they have to eat to put some weight on to be able to conceive.
And the right foods. And also there's exercise, but doing too much exercise isn't good either.
Well, that completely messes up your system, doesn't it? Sometimes with women it can change our periods if you're doing a lot of exercise.
Yes, yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting thing. You wouldn't think it would make a difference, would
It's all about everything in balance.
Everything in balance.
I know. And there's things like hormone disruptors, which in plastics, so plastic bottles, anything you eat plastic out of, that affects...
That's really, really interesting. So what kind of things would you think of there? Would that be like if you were drinking out of a plastic bottle? Or
Don't.
Don't drink out of a plastic bottle because it can affect your fertility.
Unless you get the no PBA.
Yeah. So what should people be looking at? No PBA? Okay, so we'll add this all onto a blog post that we will put onto the website.
I heard in a lecture once, even till receipts.
Till receipts?
Yeah, contained hormone disruptors, yes.
So that makes you think then about the people that are constantly working with till receipts, either in the factories to produce it, the people selling it, the people on the tills.
Oh, so it chemicals are in everything these days.
Constantly using it.
And products that you use, in your body, your hair.
I suppose again, natural
you're absorbing it.
Natural shampoo, natural conditioner. Make everything natural.
Definitely, yeah.
So Jo, tell me more about the holistics and the stress side of things. I think that's really interesting, because if stress is playing a huge factor on it, what other kind of things would you recommend? Would you suggest going for massages? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky because the centre that I own, I have a team of 13 different therapists, and we cover absolutely everything, body work through to energy work and counselling, so there's something for everybody. So they don't just come and have the fertility reflex, they'll come that day and we'll talk about what's going on, how they're feeling, and it's a long-term treatment plan. Yeah.
Because it's got to be a long-going thing, because they say, don't they, that if somebody is under 36 and you've been trying for a year already, then go to your GP and seek some help. But if you're over 36 or you know you have fertility problems, then do something about it sooner.
Yeah, I mean, nice guidelines if you've got... They advise that you try for 2 years naturally before they do the investigations. Once you get to 36, they do say, it says on the NHS website, it's within 6 months of trying, go and get advice. But unfortunately, with funding cuts, there's a lot of...
we're very lucky up here, aren't we?
We are, but there are a lot of centres, NHS centres in the Northwest that had a policy of giving 3 attempts on IVF, and they recently made the decision to cut that to 1. And that's not just for new clients, that's for patients that were already thinking. They all received a letter to say, you're only going to get 1 now.
In certain parts of the country, you are more
it depends where you live.
Attempts, or if you've already got a child with a different partner, sometimes they won't consider you.
There's a whole list of criteria you've got to meet.
There's a really good website. I'm trying to think what it is off the top of my head. We'll put it on the blog post, but I think it's hfea.gov.uk.
Yeah, and that will tell you where the best
And it'll tell you where the best
are.
clinic is. But here in the Northwest, we are so lucky, imagine, that we have so many amazing, great clinics up here, and it is meant to be one of the luckiest places to be if you are trying to go through fertility. So I know you know quite a lot about this kind of thing. what kind of is the process that people go through, or what kind of treatments are available for people?
Well, they will go and have all the investigations, and that will be both the male and the female to determine what the cause is. And then the first course of action, if it is just an ovulation problem, then they're given a medication that will stimulate ovulation. So that's usually Clomid is the most popular one. Metformin, actually, which is a diabetic medication. I know my consultants use that. Yeah, it kickstarts the ovary. Yeah, and it doesn't work for everybody. And then if it's not a medication, then you're looking at, sometimes it's surgery. So if it's a blockage or something that can be operated on, they'll do that.
They do different things, don't they? Like put dyes down so that they can see whether it's flowing
see that
correctly.
everything's.
I know that they check the sperm under a microscope and see how that's working. So there is a lot that you can do.
There's a lot of tests, and then if you then go in assisted conception, then there are things like where they can implant the sperm in directly into the womb. So that's uterine insemination, and then you've got IVF, which is it's done in a test tube basically. So you can either have your donor or use your own eggs and your own sperm. So that in itself is a massive area.
You help clients, don't you, who are waiting for IVF? And what kind of things do you recommend at that point?
Well, again with the food and stress, reducing stress.
Yeah.
So things that they can do in their own time, and things like day to day, things that they can just do, relaxation and breathing techniques, throughout whatever they're doing during the day, the sleep.
So do you think mindfulness and meditation can help then as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as I said
Yeah.
before, preparing your mind. That there's a lot of work being done recently on mind-body connection, and actually I advise my clients to imagine the baby already on its way. Because your body's really good at determining whether a pregnancy is viable.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So
just getting it used to, this isn't a foreign body, it's meant to be here. I am fertile. Just once you tell your body something, it responds to what you're telling it. Yeah.
Do you know, I've heard of a book recently, I think it's called Spirit Babies, where you can actually mentally talk to your unborn child and find out reasons why they're not coming in, and so.
Just because it might be not the right time and things like that. You've got a book on the way, actually, a fertility book.
I'm writing an e-book on fertility naturally.
Wow. When should we expect that? How long should it be?
Hopefully beginning of February.
Okay. So any time now, really. Any time now. Thank you for that. We look forward to seeing it. So is there any extra tips that we've not mentioned that either of you would recommend to put people, both men and women, in the right position to be trying for a baby?
My number one piece of advice I give to clients is, I know you mentioned the ovulation timings before, is forget all that. The worst thing you can grab is those kits that tell you, right, you're fertile now, because that puts too much pressure on it. You end up then mechanically just performing the act to have a baby.
That, though, if you have already reached your temperatures are raised and you are already ovulating, it can be too late. It is more. You are more likely to conceive, aren't you?
Yeah, just go and have a date night. Get back to being a couple. That's the best advice I can give.
I read something about if you're actually having sex too often, that it can actually reduce the sperm count, and then you're less likely to get pregnant. So sometimes when people have got it in their mind that we must have a baby and they're trying all the time, they're trying too hard. They're trying too hard, not only mentally and stressing themselves out and tiring themselves, but they are actually lowering the sperm count and are less likely to get pregnant, especially on days of the month where there's no chance of actually becoming pregnant.
I mean, I've heard of people that thinking of adoption. Happened to my cousin, and they were told they couldn't have children, and they actually did.
Yeah, because
they
let
stopped
go.
thinking about it.
Yeah, we have the same thing with teach appointments. Once they get on the IVF treatment and they arrange that teach appointment, I've had clients get pregnant naturally because they've just let go of, I've got that book now.
They've let go, they know that they've taken a step. But I suppose when you were mentioning about telling the universe that you've got a baby, if you're telling the universe that you've got a baby, whether it's adoption or naturally, if you're already picturing that situation and getting things ready in place, like, how should we decorate the room, and you're already thinking about the child in your life, you're already telling your body that you are going to have a child.
Law of attraction.
I just think if it's meant to happen, if it's going to happen, it will, and you'll just feel that within you. But it is just enjoy your life and just get as healthy as possible, because it can't
get
do any
healthy,
harm.
do exercise, make sure you're at the optimal weight, either lose weight or put weight on. Exercise more, go and treat yourself to some holistic therapies, relax yourself, have time together as a couple, enjoy yourselves,
that's the most important.
Meditation. Anything else added in there? Supplements?
Absolutely, making sure you've got all the vitamin and minerals that you need, that your body needs.
And if anything else, then making sure you're looking at the right clinic for you, which isn't always necessarily the one nearest to your house.
No, and I've got clients that go abroad because it's half the cost.
Really?
Yeah. I've had quite a few this year. Yeah, they tie it in there.
That might help. They might actually become pregnant because they've taken a break from the norm and actually took some time together. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us both of you on the show. Thank you to all the crew involved. Thanks to everybody here at Hotel Gotham. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Go over to the website www.mediasoundwave.co.uk where you'll find more information about these lovely ladies. We'll put some blog posts together with more tips and advice from today's show. Hit the subscribe button whilst you are there, and we will see you again soon here on Media Soundwave.